So you're thinking about an independent surrogacy journey as a way of saving money. But are you really up for the challenge? In this video, we're going to review all of the tasks and responsibilities that intended parents have to take on when managing their own Indy surrogacy journey. How realistic is it? So your independent surrogacy journey can save you $30,000. But for those $30,000, your agency typically provides a lot of very impressive tasks, a lot of important sort of institutional knowledge and understanding. So let's take a look at exactly what it is that your agency would do that now the intended parents are going to have to take care of themselves. And we look at the task list for the intended parents, we've really got four categories, right? Four broad categories that you need to be able to step up on. The first and the most important is to find your surrogate and get her through her medical evaluation and get her what we would call matched. Now, every surrogate before she starts needs to have a match sheet. And a match sheet is essentially a document that's presented to the lawyers and presented to the clinic that says that your surrogate has been completely evaluated both medically, psychologically, and legally. And it is the responsibility of the agency to get all of those ducks in a row so that your surrogate is qualified to continue under the law, right? And that means that your surrogate needs a full medical evaluation, fertility evaluation. She's going to need psychological evaluation as well, and a legal background checks, right? And all of those things parents are going to have to take care of in order to qualify their surrogate to just even start the program. In addition, you're going to have to negotiate the surrogate's contracts and her benefits package and her entire compensation, right? Now that is, we're going to go into a little bit more detail about the legal procedures, but those are all part and process of what your agency would do to find your surrogate. You may think that finding a surrogate is as simple as going online to a Facebook group or a social media community someplace and putting up an ad that you're looking for a surrogate. And you may find candidates that way. But be careful, because you're not just looking for a surrogate, you're looking for a qualified surrogate. And a lot of women who are posting for independent surrogacy programs are there because they have been disqualified in some way by the clinics or by other agencies. Now, there are a lot of reasons why women could be disqualified, but most likely it's because they don't meet the qualifications of the ASRM, and that's the American Society for Reproductive Medicine. And this is the organization that issues guidelines as to what's an appropriate criteria for a surrogate mother. And a reputable surrogacy clinic is going to abide by those qualifications, and they will not accept any surrogate who doesn't meet all of those criteria, right? Now there are age and weight and height restrictions, but there are also restrictions like you cannot have 5 pregnancies and be a surrogate. You cannot have 2 C-sections and be a surrogate. There are a number of medical criteria and disqualifications. So familiarize yourself with the ASRM guidelines when you start looking for your surrogate, and make sure that when you're talking to a surrogate and before you decide to move ahead, that she meets all of the guidelines. So the second group of tasks are related to the clinic procedures. And this is not just the surrogate's clinic procedures, but your own. Remember, you're going to need to have your IVF cycle, which means egg and sperm donations, fertilization, incubation, as well as vitrification and processing of your embryos. Your surrogate is going to need to come to the clinic a couple of times, one for medical evaluation and then for the embryo transfer itself. But she's also going to have to take an array of medications as part of her stimulation protocol and her fertility treatments. If she is traveling to the clinic, if she lives far away from the clinic, that could mean airfare and overnight stays that as the sort of project manager of the journey that you'll be required to take care of. And if she has children and she's staying overnight, she'll need babysitters and childcare and all sorts of support like that. All of that falls to you as the project manager in place of the agency. Now, the third bucket of tasks are related to the legal procedures. And as we talked about in a previous video, there are essentially two important legal procedures that you're going to need to take on. First is you're going to need to manage the contracts, right? Negotiate the terms of the contract, negotiate your surrogate's compensation package, her benefits package, and not just that, but also the surrogate's review and response to your negotiated package. Remember, according to most states where surrogacy is legal, the surrogate is required to have an independent counsel. So she's going to need to have her own lawyer, which you will have to provide for her. And that lawyer will explain the contract to her, will sort of capture her responses, will send them back to you, and there will be an iterative process while you negotiate the terms of the contract until a final contract to be drafted and executed. The second legal process is what we would call a parentage order. And this would be a pre-birth order if it happens during the pregnancy, or a post-birth order if it happens after the pregnancy. Now, this is a critical legal process, and it needs to be done by a licensed lawyer who is a specialist in surrogacy cases in the state where the surrogate lives and where the baby is going to be born, because that is the jurisdiction that's going to matter. And this legal process essentially removes the surrogate mother's name from the birth certificate and makes sure that the intended parents are named as the legal parents. Without this particular legal process, the intended mother has no real genetic or legal relationship to the baby whatsoever. So this is absolutely something that needs to be handled, and it's not necessarily quite so simple. In some cases there are hearings, sometimes the surrogate needs to appear, there are certainly court documents that need to be filed and found and created. So definitely some work there that intended parents who are doing an independent journey need to familiarize themselves with, because there are some significant legal hoops to jump through to get that critical part of the journey done. The final sort of category of tasks that the parents need to own up to is sort of more broadly and generally considered to be sort of being the go-to guy during the pregnancy and during all of this procedure. Now that means, holding the surrogate's hand throughout the process, but also being the person who she calls whenever she has a question, whenever she has a problem, whenever she has a conflict with the clinic. It's your job to manage that, troubleshoot that, and resolve that. And that could mean anything from she didn't get her medications on time, there's a problem with her pharmacy, you need to call up the pharmacy, find out where her medications are, call up her doctor, find out if he sent the prescription to the right pharmacy, making sure that she gets her meds and that she knows how to take them, because if it requires injections, maybe she is a little bit skittish and she needs some instruction on how to do that, right? Everything related to the surrogate's care and her well-being throughout the entire process, as well as the clinic's questions about how the surrogate is going to respond, whether she's going to be coming on a certain day, whether she's taking her meds. You need to be able to be the liaison to answer all of those questions and handle all of those issues. So expect some midnight calls when your surrogate wakes up in the middle of the night and she's got cramps and she doesn't know whether it's serious and needs to go to the ER or whether it's just normal cramps. If you can handle all of those tasks, then God bless you. You are definitely a great candidate for an independent journey. And there is nothing special about any of those tasks, right? There's no superhero powers that are required for any of that. But there is a lot of sort of specialized institutional knowledge that you need to have in order to make sure all of those things happen in the correct order and in the correct way. So if you would like some more information about any of those tasks in greater detail, or if you'd like to talk to one of our consultants about any of those tasks and how they work, Or if you'd like to talk to us about hiring a consultant to help you through your independent journey, and somebody who works with you who has all that information, send us an email at info@sensiblesurrogacy, or visit the website sensiblesurrogacy.com, and ask us your questions. We are here to help. We love answering questions from couples who are considering surrogacy as an option, and we are proud to be your friendly resource throughout your journey. I'm Bill Howden. I am the founder of Sensible Surrogacy, and thanks for watching. If you found this to be valuable, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. And otherwise, we'll see you in our next video.